that screen time could be doing a number on your eyes, some tips to protect your vision in Mom to Mom, and why Iowa matters inside the caucuses, plus what's for dinner? Well, breakfast. Mid-morning starts right now. Good morning, everyone. The FDA has approved the first drug to treat peanut allergies in children. The new medication, called Palforzia, can be used in children ages 4 to 17. It's for children who've been diagnosed with a peanut allergy by a doctor. Palforzia is not a cure, but it is designed to minimize the incidence and the severity of a child's allergic reaction to peanuts. Even a small amount of exposure can be harmful to children who have this allergy. And parents, if you deal with this, you already know it. The American College of Allergy, Asthma, and Immunology says peanuts are one of the most common food allergies. The new treatment essentially works by exposing children to controlled dosages of peanut protein over time. Eventually, they build up a tolerance. That's according to the therapeutics which helped to develop this medication. In clinical trials, 2/3 of children tested were able to eat a small amount of peanut without having a reaction. The FDA, of course, still encourages parents to have those injectable pens on hand to be on the safe side of that. Of course, there should be more to come on that later. All right, a state-of-the-art shopping mall is helping children with disabilities learn important skills, but as Hillary Lane explains, the center is make-believe.
There's so much to see.
It's a busy full day of shopping for 15-year-old Grace Coolis. First stop, the bank for cash.
1, 2.
And then on to the grocery store.
Thank you.
The pet shop.
You want to see the guinea pig?
And then the hair salon.
This is my favorite part, the salon.
Grace and her classmates are on a field trip to Lifetown in New Jersey. It's a 15,000 square foot shopping mall that looks just like the real thing, but it's actually all pretend. This center was built earlier this year for children with disabilities to help them learn everyday tasks like shopping in a safe, non-threatening space.
Why can it be challenging for a child with a disability to be present in a mall, for example?
It's the sights, the sounds, the smells, the crowds. All these things can be very overstimulating.
Occupational therapist and teacher A.B. Levy says this pretend mall helps his students learn the skills to manage on their own.
It gives them an idea of what to expect, what to do in a predicament like waiting at the cash register.
So nice to meet you.
The idea to build this center came from Rabbi Zalman Grossbaum, who raised more than $18 million to make it a reality.
Everything is about creating opportunities for individuals with special abilities to interact with the community.
Excellent.
This center is run by over 1,000 volunteers. It's retired special education teacher Maureen McKenna's first day on the job.
It's been a phenomenal day. It's just been an absolute phenomenal day. And to see their faces light up.
Grace says she can't wait to come back to Lifetown again.
I love it here.
Enjoying the practice that will prepare her for the real world. Hillary Lane, CBS News, Livingston, New Jersey.
And Lifetown is open to all schools all around the country who would like to bring their students in for a visit. Well, between television, cell phones, tablets, and computers, a large portion of our day is spent looking at a screen, and that can take a toll on your eyes. This week on Mom to Mom, they've got a solution now that could stop the issue without cutting down your screen time. Take a look.
Today on Mom to Mom, we're going to show you how these can make a big difference in your child's health. Blue light blockers are all the rage right now, and I've got Dr. Miller here to tell us all about these and if they really work. So, Dr. Miller, what are these? Like, what is blue light blocker lenses?
Yeah, so blue light is a spectrum of light very similar to that given off by the sun. So if you think about it, our bodies are designed to function with the rhythm of the sun. So it's called our circadian rhythm. And when you start to mess with your circadian rhythm, it can affect things like the way you pay attention, how rested you feel. Long-term effects of being exposed to blue light can even cause things like weight gain, depression, increase of risk things like blood pressure issues, and even cancer. So just by wearing blue light blocking glasses, it's going to not only give your kid the energy they need, help them sleep better, but can really set them up for long-term benefits.
And so do these actually work?
They absolutely do, guys. Your kids are being exposed from their phones, from their tablets, from their computers, even the TVs at night. So by wearing these glasses, and you can even have ones that look like mine where you can't even tell they're blue light blockers, but it's going to reduce your risk of with things like anxiety, depression. It's even been shown extra exposure to blue light can cause even weight gain and increase your risk of heart disease.
Seriously, weight gain?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yep, so wearing these blue light blockers when you're in front of a screen, it's going to help you sleep better. It's going to be overall just better for their systems in general.
So there you go. If you were having any questions about the blue light blockers, this is perfect. Get your kids some, get yourself some. Dr. Miller, thank you so much. As always, moms, check out our Facebook page and we'll see you on the next Mom to Mom.
Well, marijuana is now legal for either recreational or medical use in 33 states, but a new study from AAA looked at 10 years of traffic deaths in Washington state. It found the number of drivers involved in fatal crashes who were high on marijuana has more than doubled since pot was legalized there in 2012. Chris Van Cleve reports.
16-year-old Chad Britton was walking to his car during lunch when he was hit and killed in front of his high school by a teen driver high on pot.
He was a beautiful soul. They'd do anything for anyone.
AAA's Jake Nelson worries the rate of driving stoned is reaching a new high.
If you're going to use marijuana, you shouldn't drive.
Why do you drive around smoking? You know that's not a good idea, right?
Yeah, I do.
Dash camera video shows the kinds of run-ins with potentially high drivers Washington State police say are happening more often.
Very common. We run into it every day.
State Patrol Lieutenant Bruce Myers says drivers often mix pot with booze or with other drugs.
It affects your cognitive abilities, your decision making. It slows down your reaction times.
Research from 2018 shows crashes overall were up 6% in Washington, Nevada, and Oregon compared to neighboring states where marijuana is banned. Recreational pot is now legal in 11 states, and it's allowed for medical use in 22. AAA says states need a two-tier system to determine who is too high to drive, testing for both recent use and evidence of impairment.
Laws that limit how much THC can be in a person's blood as a driver are completely meaningless in terms of allowing us to predict how impaired somebody is behind the wheel.
Normal, a group that lobbies for the legalization of pot, argues that the AAA study has some flaws. They say the increase in stops, that's due to more people testing for the presence of marijuana, and that marijuana can stay detectable in the body for days after it's consumed. Chris Van Cleve, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Now, AAA does oppose the legalization of marijuana, saying that it is a danger to auto safety. Or after months of being in the national spotlight, today everything is quiet once again in Iowa. We'll look at why the state is the first stop on the road to the White House next on Mid-Morning. The Iowa caucuses are yesterday's news. Now candidates are turning to voters in New Hampshire and South Carolina. They are up next. But for years, Iowa has been first. Ed O'Keefe spent weeks on the ground there. He looks back now at why this heartland state got to kick off presidential elections.
Thank you, Iowa.
Thank you, Iowa.
Thank you, Iowa.
If you build it, they will come.
Iowans trooped to caucus meetings across the state in record numbers tonight.
For 5 decades, these snowy cornfields have yielded a crop of future presidents.
Iowa has changed the political landscape overnight.
What's your fondest memory of the Iowa caucus?
Winning.
Pigs may outnumber people here, but the Iowans we met are determined to make sure they count.
We are proud of having it first here. We do our homework. We go to events.
You're going to make me the next president.
Get in the fight.
Thank you for being here.
I've been to see Warren. I've been to see Buttigieg. I've been to see Klobuchar, Steyer.
And just how much does Iowa matter to those candidates? Well, back in the 70s, Roger Mudd put it this way.
It will be a psychological break for some of them. It will be probably a disaster for others.
Appropriately, it took a farmer to put Iowa on the political map.
I was hoping to come in first, but to come in 2-1 ahead of the next candidate was a very gratifying thing.
He's done it with hard work, without any real support or alliances.
And without even spending the week before the caucuses in Iowa.
I haven't been in Iowa in several days.
But by the 80s, the Hawkeye State had become must-stop on the way to the White House.
So the Iowa caucuses got the battle for the presidency off to a stunning start. Bush 33%, Reagan 27%.
Leaving the loser to come up with creative excuses.
If I had to lose one, I'm glad it was a straw vote and not a primary.
4 years later, former Democratic Vice President Walter Mondale cleaned up in Iowa, partly because
over 2/3 of Mondale's voters said they were for him because he could beat Ronald Reagan.
He didn't. Iowa hasn't always picked the winner.
Any second thoughts about what happened?
Yeah, I lost.
Fewer than half of Republicans who finished first here went on to win the GOP nomination, but more often, Iowa Democrats do get it right, picking all but 3 of the eventual nominees.
The comeback Kerry.
Even when the rest of us didn't know to expect it.
The race for the Democratic presidential nomination looks a whole lot different tonight.
And then we're going to Washington, D.C. to take back the White House!
After that, Howard Dean's presidential dreams screeched to a halt.
Whether it was reaction from Republicans or Democrats, it was about the same. Bizarre, eerie, weird, odd.
The votes have been cast.
But 4 years later, Iowa Democrats did place their hopes in change.
You have done what the cynics said we couldn't do.
You can sign up as a Democrat.
Des Moines resident Tracy Murphy hopes it can happen again. But even as she dispatched Bernie Sanders volunteers from her home, Murphy wondered whether this weight should fall on her state.
I love the popularity of being first in the nation. I love all the attention that we get. But at the same time, I don't think that it should be a play favorites to Iowa all the time. And sometimes maybe somebody else should get to be first.
All right, now the first Tuesday in March is known as Super Tuesday. That's because so many states will hold primaries and so many delegates are up for grabs. The second Tuesday in March includes primary races in Mississippi. The Democratic Convention is scheduled for July 13th through 16th in Milwaukee. All right, you have 363 days, give or take, to get ready for the next Super Bowl. In the meantime, we'll take a look at the winners ahead on Mid-Morning.